There's a million reasons I could have not done this road trip. I still don't even know exactly where I'm going, and I've got 3 days left. I mean, it's just been amazing.
You have the opportunity to shoot, a muley in full velvet, which a lot of times you don't have that opportunity with Colorado rifle tags.
If I don't have a bear tag, I'll see bears. I'll have an opportunity to shoot a bear. But if I have a bear tag, I won't see a bear. If I have an elk tag, I won't get to shoot an elk.
Draw back, and someone's like, Sam, you don't have an arrow. I'm like, I'm at full draw. Nothing for me is going to top Montana. I mean, I left a good chunk of my heart up there.
I think when you can adapt to that and you can get to the point where you're good with not knowing where you're headed tomorrow, it can really open up some doors.
When you got your pack on, you're never lost. You're just not where you initially intended to be.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to episode 81 of Living Country in the City. As all y'all who listen often can probably tell, I've got a bit of a unique episode for y'all today. Now, if y'all remember a few months ago when I was on my road trip, I came down to Durango, Colorado to hang out with Brandon Waddell of the Wilderness Attitude podcast and Mr. Muley Matt Howell of the Mule Deer Hunter. We hiked up to about 12,000 feet and laid down a really fun podcast. I am back in Durango, Colorado on my way up to my elk hunt. And went and grabbed dinner with Brandon last night. He gave me the okay to release the audio from that podcast as an episode of my own. But before we get started, want to say a quick thank you to Sawyer Products for being a continual supporter of the podcast. Make sure y'all check them out. I have been using their products religiously since I came on my trip. And you know what? I am actually above Durango, Colorado right now on some public land. And I'm in my car recording this, and I'm getting really distracted by a coyote that's walking right in front of my car. And I'm sitting here wondering if I can get my bow out in time to get him, and he is trotting away. Oh, there's a bunch of them. So, I'm getting really distracted while recording this, y'all. I hope you're getting a bit of a laugh out of this, because there's no way I can get to my bow in time to get these dang coyotes. Anyway, moving back on. Once again, big thank you to Sawyer Products. I've been using their, especially bug repellents and sunscreen, non-stop on this trip. I'm excited to try out their gravity filter system while I'm out on my elk hunt. Make sure y'all give them a check out. Make sure y'all check them out at Sawyer.com. All right, y'all, so getting on to the episode, I hope you enjoy this one with Brandon Waddell and Muley Matt Howell.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wilderness Attitude Podcast. We're bringing it to you straight from the wilderness. Matt, where are we?
We are up on top of, I don't even know what peak this is, but we are up in the mountains of southwest Colorado.
We are way up at the top of the Platas, and we are looking at a stellar view. We have the Platas looking towards Telluride and Uray, Silverton is what I'm looking at. So that's what's behind Matt and Sam. And anyway, we bringing you a special podcast today. Sam Ayers of Living Country in the City podcast is on one of his last legs of his epic road trip. It's been across the western United States.
Quite the trip for sure. And this is definitely the, not to make a Colorado joke, but this is definitely the highest I've been on the road trip. But
sure, right?
But I'll tell you what, this gets a lot thinner up here.
Yeah, where are we at? Let's see here. Let's check out where are we at?
I got 2157. Or 12. All the numbers run together on this. I got to rearrange it, like I was saying. 12,157.
12,157 feet.
Yep.
Yeah, we are pretty much sitting right at tree line.
Yeah.
There's a few trees up above us, but not more than 100 foot.
And as some of you probably recognize by his voice, Muley Matt Howell has joined us up here as well. He's got his Vortex glass out, and his Wilderness Attitude podcast hat on, and he's checking out the world up here.
Well, we know that there's already some deer up here, and there's already some elk up here, so yeah. I'm hoping that I can find some.
Yeah, we caught up on some good elk tracks crossing over the saddle here, which is pretty cool. Even on the other saddle we came across, we got some nice stanky whiff of some milk coming up across there too. And so that's cool. But we came up here because we wanted to bring Sam up here to Tree Line in Colorado, and we wanted to let him sit on top of the world and do a podcast because we figured that'd be something new for you.
Definitely. A little bit different from my couch in the middle of LA, so.
Or the moose chair you almost bought.
Oh man, that thing.
Or Pagosa Springs or something, right?
Oh gosh, I was looking at pictures of that too this morning, and that was the ugliest, most glorious thing I have ever seen in my life. I was driving by at 50 miles an hour, and it was enough to make me stop, turn the truck around on a 2-lane highway, and go pull up, and went and grabbed a couple photos. And this thing's a double wide throne. It was a moose throne. And I just about got out of my car and asked how much that thing was, and if it was anything under $500, it was going in the back of the truck and coming home with me. I told myself, you know what? I'll get rid of my couch. I'll get rid of everything in my living room, and commission a giant portrait of myself to hang right above the moose chair.
You bring girls home on a date, right? They walk in and be like, yeah, about face. I'm out of here, man.
Are you kidding me? I think they would be.
Did you find something, Matt?
Some
Glorious.
hikers.
Some hikers?
Yeah, they're trying to get to the top of the peak.
Class
over
of
there.
hikers. Yeah, that's a good place to come up here. Lots of adventure up here, and one of my favorite places to come. I find a lot of peace and a lot of tranquility up here at the top of these hills, that's for sure.
Yeah, this is, as a kid, was always one of my favorite areas to come into. Just it's so beautiful up here. It's peaceful, and 20 years ago there wasn't near as many people up here as there is now, but it's still a great place. It's pretty easy access from town, and just being able to get up here at Tree Line and see the snow on these peaks still, and it's just awesome being up here.
Couldn't agree with you more. I think that there's a lot to be said about the influx of people, that's for sure. But I also think that there's still plenty of wilderness out here, man.
There is.
I mean, look behind you. Holy crap! I mean, there's Engineer over there, right? Yep.
Engineer's there.
Muley. You
can see Twilight Peaks over there.
Yep.
Some of the 14ers.
I mean, there's so much wilderness here. You can go. You can get away. You can get away, Sam. There's places out here in Colorado that no 2 feet have ever stood. I'm sure of it.
Oh yeah.
And plenty of it.
I can definitely imagine. I mean, just look. I mean, you can see forever up here, and I'm sure there's even better spots. But it's just, you just don't get views like this back home.
So Matt, you went way up here. You were talking about how these hills and some of these basins used to hold some world-class muleys up here.
Oh yeah, this country. When I was 12 and 13, I'd come up here with my dad and uncle, and they were bow hunting mule deer up here, and the bucks they were after were, world record class mule deer, and in the last 25 years, the genetics up here has changed, and there's probably a lot of factors that go into that. There's still some good bucks up here, but in this drainage, I think you'd be pretty hard-pressed to find anything that's close to 200 now. You might get an occasional one. Now, back behind us, I think there's definitely some 200-inch deer back in there, but this drainage where some of those monster bucks used to hang out in just doesn't hold them anymore. And I think there's a couple reasons, but one of the reasons we talked about, they have an early rifle season in here now. That's usually the first full week of September. It's usually the week before muzzleloader. And they give out 25 tags in this unit. And I truly believe that, that has definitely hurt the population as far as removing a large portion of the mature bucks out of these drainages, and their genetics weren't then passed on. So I don't know, it may come back. You know how things ebb and flow, but definitely not. I mean, if I was just looking for a mule deer, I'd hunt in here, but I wouldn't. There's other areas that I think hold bigger deer now, but when I was a kid, this was the go-to spot.
And, I had mentioned that maybe some of the more farmland down south maybe might influence some of that migration corridor traffic that might bring them up here. I mean, because I know that in some of the lower units where they migrate, there's some 200s in there.
Definitely.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but like you mentioned, though, there was 200s there and there were 200s here,
Mm-hmm.
And you're definitely right that in the lower unit, it's much easier to hold on to those 200-inch class deer down there because most of it's private land. So your opportunities for hunting that are way less. And like you mentioned also earlier, is that in this unit up here, that high muley hunt with a rifle, your success rate up here is on that tag is damn near 100%.
Right. Yeah.
And when you got 25 of those being taken out up here, that's tough, right? That's a lot of freaking high quality deer that we need passed down that are being taken. Because there's not anybody that I know of that is going to hunt a high mountain muley and not go for the biggest thing they can get.
They're not taking coal bucks up here.
No, they're not.
No, for the most part, they're not. I mean, you'll get guys that'll get in and realize, holy crap, what did I get into? And maybe pass on some bucks and get closer to the road and take something smaller. But for the most part, I think guys are looking for the biggest of the big. And when you draw that tag after putting in for 12 or 13 years, 14 years, you put a little time in your scouting and, take the time to locate those big bucks. And they're still in their summer routine, so they're pretty easy to pattern, and you'll know which bowls they'll be in come opening day, and I think they get hit pretty hard in that rifle season.
Yeah, and I think the value to what you're saying there is obviously if you get an opportunity, it's not an easy tag to get.
No.
But it is a great tag to get. And, of course, that early scouting is what pays dividends.
Yeah, and I like the opportunity that it gives, rifle hunters, because you have the opportunity to shoot a muley in full velvet, which a lot of times you don't have that opportunity with Colorado rifle tags.
That's right. So when do they start dropping their velvet over here?
Well, I think, Matt, the last few years it's been quite different, actually.
And different bucks will shed at different times. You'll see them, the first week of September, you'll start to see one or two start to shed, and by the second week of September, the middle of muzzleloader season, I would say close to 50% of the bucks are shed or are right there. And by the third or fourth week, pretty much everything's shed. Now, my last archery buck I shot on September 22nd, and he's still in full velvet. So there's a few bucks that'll hang on to that velvet a little longer. And then you always have the wacky ones, like the one in my neighborhood who still hasn't shed. Not only hasn't shed his antlers from last year, he still hasn't shed his velvet from last year. So
he hasn't dropped both nuts, I don't think.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's a wide range, and I think it has a little bit to do with elevation too, right, Matt? That's what I think. I think there's some elevation content.
Well, I don't know. I've noticed, even down low, there'll be a couple bucks, that first week of September that in these alfalfa fields will have stripped their velvet off, and their antlers are as white as can be, instead of like some of these high country bucks that get in the trees and, shed their velvet there. They're rubbing on, get a little color to it. But a lot of times those bucks in the alfalfa fields, you'll get a couple that'll go. But I think the majority of them in the lower area kind of hold on to their velvet a little bit longer.
Yeah. I think one of the other awesome things about coming up here in the plaza, just like you said, we're watching some hikers try to crest up to the top of the notch up there. And, these mountains offer a lot to everybody, not just hunters, but backpackers and mountain bikers and
kayakers.
There's a couple of those.
So funny part, we were driving up here. I got 3 kayaks on the top of my rig, and we decided to have fun with a Jeep coming down. And so we told him that the guys at Mild to Wild in Durango sent us up here and told us there's some epic whitewater up here. Do you guys know where we should put in? And we stumped them for a second. They weren't sure how to answer.
They were pretty stumped.
Well, so tell us some of the, I want to talk a little bit about your road trip, because like I told you yesterday, I'm super happy for you, but I'm super jelly too, because it's like I would love to take a chunk of time out and frickin' go do what you did. I mean, you got some amazing highlighted experience through your trip.
The Pacific Northwest was amazing. It really surprised me. Like, I knew there were some cool spots up there, but going through Oregon and Washington, just generally driving through the PNW was really cool. But nothing for me is going to top Montana. I mean, I've always had a fascination with Montana, and I left, especially going through Glacier West, and that whole area, and went up to Bowman Lake, and I left a good chunk of my heart up there in that spot, and there were just some amazing views, amazing weather. It rained a few nights, and I'm sleeping in the back of my rental pickup. I got a tarp that I bought like the second day of this trip. Bungeed it down, thinking it would last maybe 3 or 4 days before it's shredded. That thing is still solid and holding on, and so it's been my tent. I haven't bothered setting up a tent all but one night.
Right. So when it rains or gets funky, you just rip the tarp back over the top of you, and it's good to go.
Pull it back, crawl underneath with the dogs. They crawl into the foot of the sleeping bag, and I just listen. It's like a white noise machine, like right above my head, the rain on that tarp. And there has been a couple of mornings, though, when where I haven't adjusted it quite right, and I'll wake up to it kind of sinking in about 1/4 of an inch off my face, and there's no real good way to get out of there, get that water off without, basically taking a nice little morning shower. But which I honestly, at any given point that happens, I probably needed it pretty bad. So
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, the whole trip was super impromptu. I just, I was coming back from a month working out in the desert for festival season, and just decided, I've been working my butt off for the past month. Just really haven't had much of a break. And it's, it's nice out there. They put us up in some good spots, but it's just, I needed to get out and do something a little more freeing. And so just about 2 weeks before I left, I kind of threw some points on a map and said, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Who's going to be around? And got some responses and looked at a rental truck and just kind of decided to go. It was originally I was just going to fly out here to Colorado, say hi to some folks, and decided I was like, well, I'm going to have to rent a car anyway, so I might as well drive out, and then I can stop here, and I can stop here too, and turned into a 3-week road trip.
Here and then here and then here.
Yeah. And I don't have a boss right now at work. He left the company to pursue some new stuff, and so they're kind of figuring out. We're in a transition period right now, so I can't, like I said, I can't get an expense report approved, but I can. I also don't have anyone that is going to tell me, no, you can't go work remotely for 3 weeks on the road.
Nice.
Yeah,
well, so sometimes when those doors open, you got to take advantage of them, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. That door opened, I walked right through it, and I'll tell you what, it sent out an email and said, hey, just a reminder, hit me up on email or phone, but you won't see my face in the office for the next 3 weeks. And, it's worked out well. I'll be on the highway, and I got my Bluetooth. I rented a brand new Silverado, and so it's got a nice new Bluetooth speakers. So I'm taking conference calls and hopping on stuff, and sometimes I'll just have to pull over on the side of the highway and update a website, tethering off my phone. So
it's amazing how we adapt, though, to achieve what we want.
Oh, yeah.
But sometimes there's times that if we don't want to do it, how easy it is to figure out a way not to, It's life, isn't it? I mean, we're human. We all do it.
There's a million reasons I could have not done this road trip. There's a million reasons.
Right.
It was going to cost me too much. It was, I wasn't guaranteed a place to stay any given time. I had too much work to do because I have a crap ton of work to do right now. But, I decided it was something I wanted to do, and I'm like, everything else is just details. Just figure those out later. Heck, I still don't even know exactly where I'm going, and I've got 3 days left.
Right, yeah. I said, so you sticking around? Well, yeah, I think I better stick around for more than just a night because I really don't know where the hell I'm going next. So I might need to kind of regroup here a little bit because I really had it all dialed in right to here.
Well, and it's just changed. Every day it's changed, and I've revamped, and I've kind of been updating. I've been a little lax the past couple of days, updating my little calendar and where I'm going to be when, and I gotta text a few people, but it's just stuff happens, and something will be closed, or someone will be out of town, and So I'll decide to go visit someone else, and that's what happened. I wasn't even planning on going up into Washington. Initially, I was just going to go through Oregon and go straight up into Boise and then up to Coeur d'Alene. But some of my friends in Eastern Oregon weren't being cooperative, so I decided to roll on up into Washington and visit some folks up there and go see Mount St. Helens. I've wanted to see that since I was a kid.
Right.
And I got up there super early, and I could see about 15 yards in front of me.
Oh,
It was just so fogged out up there. So I missed out on that, but oh well.
that's all right.
But no, it's just been amazing. And getting to see, a lot of people that I've either met in passing or talked to on the podcast or just old friends that I haven't seen since Hunt Expo or whatever. And just be in the outdoors. And, sometimes I'll be heading in and just decide I want to pull over and spend the evening on some BLM land and start a campfire and just enjoy the night,
Right.
It's a nice thing about doing it just with me and the dogs too is, no pressure to be in unless obviously I'm meeting someone for something, but there's no real pressure to be in a specific spot at a specific time, and
Right.
can just enjoy our public lands. And I really want to do another, we kind of talked about it last night. I really want to do another one of these and just do it as super public lands focused and go, I think we talked about go to an event in each state, but the whole time stay on public lands and make a big road trip around all the western states again and just document the whole thing and show how important it is to have these public lands and just how easy it is to use them.
To utilize them, yeah.
I mean, most of the time it's just me pulling over the truck finding a trail, getting over to a spot that's, that I'm allowed to camp in, and not any big faldy-roll, not having to pay a campsite fee or sleep on a cement slab that's been pre-designated as campsite 4A or whatever it is,
Yeah. And to kind of parlay that into hunting, I think when you can adapt to that and you can get to the point where you're good with, not knowing where you're headed tomorrow, especially if you're going to do something in the backcountry, it can really open up some doors. You got enough on your back, throw your bivvy or your tent on your back and, hit the ridge and locate something 2 miles away. It's a lot easier to go over there and set up camp over there and, hunt that animal rather than go back to camp that you just hiked 2 miles out of, and now you're 4 miles away from camp after you're going after that animal. So if you can be flexible, in the backcountry and not necessarily have, you have a game plan of, hey, I want to hit this area, but, if you get stuck on, hey, I'm going to be in this bowl, there's not a guarantee that there's going to be animals in that bowl.
Well, yeah, because, especially public land, someone can blow that up.
Right.
Whatever. Your whole plan gets
done
thrown,
for the season.
Shit canned right there. So, it's a good trait. You're right.
Yeah.
Well, what's the saying? You're never, when you got your pack on, you're never lost. You're just not where you initially intended to be.
That's right.
You're not suddenly lost because you don't know exactly where your initial spot was going to be.
Right.
You've got everything you need. You got your tent. You got your stuff to start a fire. So why are you freaking out right now? And I know some people that if they're not where their GPS originally told them they were supposed to be, or
yeah,
they just.
I think that's a transition that younger hunters go through. I think I did that too, where I wanted to know where I was going, and I wanted to stick to my plan, and I wanted to be more rigid in that format. I think everybody kind of morphs through that a little bit.
And there's to some extent there's a safety aspect, and that's important too. You want to put out your hunting plan and give it to your family or a hunting buddy or someone that can, if you suddenly don't show up, 3 weeks later and nobody's heard from you, it'd be good, to know where to send the search party. But
I think that's why when I got that inReach last year, that just opened up opportunities for me to be able to just go roll.
Right.
Like you're on this road trip, just go free roll in the woods, man. Got everything I need. I can plop anywhere. I can be anywhere. I can survive out here. I'm good to go. I know that I have a certain course of action within the amount of meal planning I've done, right? But at the same time, though, that I can go, and I can stay connected. I can, bleep, on the screen for the wife or whatever, and if I do need to communicate, I can, and I think it's priceless.
The nice thing about that is, if you're using that tracking feature, it's a cool recap of your hunt later.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even think about that, but then I was going through my Arizona hunt, and, you know, I was doing a lot of glassing, so I'd sit in glass for a while, and then I'd pop it open, and I'd send a message to one of my hunting buddies and tell them how it was going, and, you know, it saves the whole history of wherever you've been.
Yeah.
And then, oh, this is where I thought I found a good spot, so I was super in a good mood, and it's a fun little recap, and oh, here's the spot where I said I'm going to quit hunting and go back to playing Dungeons and Dragons. And
yeah, see, you know, even Callie was asking me after we did that one trip, Matt, she's all, so you named something the rec center. Would you like to explain what the hell that means?
Yeah.
That's where all the elk go.
That's where they all went to play.
That's where they all go to play and exercise, is at the rec center. What I really liked about your road trip was you marked your journey with some great memories with some great people. You know, building relationships and carrying those out and getting to meet someone like you and I. We barely met in a bar. And, you know, really not a lot of conversation back and forth. But we knew we wanted to talk to each other more. We were at the show, both busy podcasting. It was just a whirlwind. And so, and even like you and Matt had done a podcast prior, and so that was a good connection point for you coming here. And but even along the way, you met new faces. You got to experience some new things. And
dry firing a bow.
Got to dry fire your bow.
Now, has that story been told yet?
It's been told on a couple of mine, but yeah.
Very briefly. Why don't we go there a little bit, there, country?
And not to knock you, but it happens more than you would think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We have a friend that did the same thing.
Yeah, to ask you
At a
about
3D
it is
shoot,
only to bring it to light that this is something that happens more often than people think.
Well, it's funny, you know, I've had a few people that are like, you'll notice we're not giving you as much shit as you would expect for this, because I've seen more people do this, like, on a firing, like, people that have been shooting for years. And it's just, you know, you get, and especially, like, I'm half out of it at any given time. I've been sleeping about 4 hours a night in the bed of a truck, you know, so it's
right.
Slightly out of it. I'll use that as part of an excuse, but, you know, you just get so focused. You're talking with your buddies, and then you're like, okay, I got to range this, and you're, like, laser focused on this 3D target, and you go draw back, and I draw back, and someone's like, Sam, you don't have an arrow. And I'm like, I kind of cock my head out. I'm like, oh, shoot, I don't. So I go to let down, I'm coming off, I'm at full draw, and so I'm coming off, I kind of take my fingers off, but I'm coming off the back wall, and it does that initial jerk, and I just tap my release.
That's how most of the time, even people who catch it, another 80% of the time, that's how it happens.
Look at that. It's so cool watching. Sorry, I just got interrupted by a hawk sailing on the wind up here.
Well, you had a sparrow that came about 2 feet from your head about 10 minutes ago.
Well, they were running from that hawk. But, yeah, it does happen, you know, a lot, unfortunately, and especially at 3D shoots. And, you know, you're focused on that target. You're thinking about the yardage. And
you're
I
thinking
think
about the trees.
you're thinking
in
about,
between.
right,
Even
you're
me, I'm
about your
talking
shot.
to everybody, you know.
You're talking to
carrying
people,
on.
and you've been doing this. This might be your third shot, or it might be your 40th shot of the day. And so you've been doing this over and over and over. And I think that's one of the big reasons that putting an arrow on your string should be part of your shot sequence. Mm-hmm. You know, I know guys that'll do a shot sequence where they just draw, anchor, and let down. Draw, anchor, let down, and they don't put the arrow on as part of their shot sequence. And so for me, when I'm thinking shot sequence stuff, I'll put my arrow on, draw, anchor, hold, release, you know, and get the full shot sequence. So
yeah, because it's good. It's good to practice, because in the heat of the moment, you don't always have an arrow loaded when you're hunting when an opportunity arises.
Right.
So it's one of those things. But so you roll up on the 3D course, third target.
Yep, third target. So I gotta miss the second target. So I got an 8 for the 20 target course.
Oh no,
that was fun. I was official scorekeeper and photographer for the afternoon. But
you know, sometimes that's a relief, isn't it?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, I'm very curious. I've been getting a lot better, but I'm very curious. It's been almost 2 months since I pulled that bow out and shot. So but I really gotta get back on the shooting game again. I've been slacking this month on my training and my shooting, and by this time last year I was hiking I was basically every every other day I was either hiking or I was shooting my bow. I would alternate in the mornings because I have to get up and at like 4 a.m, get out to wherever I'm hiking or I'm shooting by sunrise, so I can get back and get dressed, showered, and get to work because we don't have a ton of indoor ranges. Definitely nothing close to where I'm at where I can shoot, and so it's pretty much a sun up to sundown, and I work late, so that's not going to happen.
I'm way behind too. Join the club. I mean, I did a ton of training and shooting going into train to hunt, and then I basically just took the last month off after train to hunt. I've been eating Twinkies and drinking beer, and now I got to get some shooting in before I go to the Pope and Young Adventure Race, and then get back here and get serious about my fall prep, getting a lot of arrows downrange, and start hitting some more 3Ds here with Matt and Greg, and getting some work in, and it's time to turn that corner a little bit and get it tuned up.
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of get really going once I have a tag in my hand, or I know I have a tag. And now I'm waiting on tags.
We're
I'm like,
days away here in Colorado,
know.
man. I
So.
mean, this podcast won't air for a week or two probably, but at the same time, though, the 3 days, man.
Yep.
Colorado takes forever, man.
Well, and the hard part is, in the past, even though they had your money and everything, there was a back door. I've always known by mid-May. I was looking May 16th last year. I knew I had my deer tag, because the back door was open, and now there's no back door, so there's no way to tell.
Nope, everybody's got to wait, just like everybody has to wait. Right? I don't know. Does that come out right? Everybody's got to wait.
Everybody's got to wait, just like everyone has to wait. That's a Brandomism.
That's a Brandomism.
Can we get that on a T-shirt?
Right? I'm sure we can print that. Anything's possible.
Oh, man.
Back in the day, you had to wait until they were mailed to you.
Jeez. Just shows up in your
you check the
mailbox
mail.
and
check the mail. You get a phone call from a buddy that says, "Hey, I got mine in the mail," and you go running. Yours isn't there yet.
And yours isn't there yet. They even said that they're going to release the results over the course of 4 days, from the 4th to the 8th. So it'll be interesting to see, how that plays out.
It will. Yep. So
I got to decide if I'm putting in for antelope in Wyoming. That deadline's coming up
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Ooh, is that tomorrow?
Right? Is it? No, it might be today.
It's either the 1st or the 31st. It's either today or tomorrow.
I think it's today. So
I can't remember. But
better go sack up and make a decision. But I was looking at. I don't know. I've got to figure out because I'm doing that velvet muley in August.
And where's that hunt?
That's going to be Arizona.
Oh,
that's the over the counter. And then I've got
first into August or second into August.
I gotta look at what the dates are, and we haven't figured it out exactly.
Wouldn't you rather be sitting on this point, glass of Muleys in August?
Yeah, than 100.
Yeah, but guess what?
Degrees.
I've already bought that tag
That's
and
true.
that
That
license.
one's paid
so.
for.
But then I'm also looking at over the counter here in Colorado. I think I was telling you guys yesterday. I met some new friends yesterday, and they've got a nice little spot, and they were asking if I wanted to come in with them, and I'm like, wait, so y'all have pack llamas, right? I'm like, yeah. Y'all have found the spot with big old bulls, right? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you're inviting me to come along, and I don't have to do pretty much any work other than hike in there and pull back. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, that sounds like a damn good deal to me,
right?
I mean, but yeah, we had just good connection. Like you said, meeting new people that have reached out, and you connect with them, and that's why I wanted to do this whole podcast and everything, is just to
live in country in the city.
Absolutely expand my opportunities to hunt. Like,
right.
I've had a lot of people, give me crap for trying to be an expert on stuff, and they very obviously haven't listened to my podcast at all. But like I said, I did it because I wanted to document my own journey and just have something to look back on. And I just listened to my second podcast the other day, and I was just kind of laughing and enjoying it. And anything I can do to get more opportunities to hunt, heck yeah, I'm going to take advantage of that.
Yeah,
I don't care who gives me crap for that. I'm going to take advantage.
But the bottom line here, Matt, is that
I like
because we're not llamas, he's not coming here.
pretty much.
I
No.
told him he was responsible for his own pack, and he said, "Hell, I'm out."
Well, we all saw what happened to me last year after I was responsible for my own pack.
Right.
I know.
Yeah, it's
I learned a lot.
tough out there.
But yeah, so I'm. That would be early September, and then I'd possibly be doing late September over the counter in Idaho. So I'm just kind of figuring out in between those two if I can do Wyoming antelope or just quit my job and become a hobo officially and then go hunting. I don't know how I'll pay for tags, but I figure
new podcast, the Hobo Hunter.
Hobo
Right, there you
Hunter.
go.
All right, let's see. Can I buy a domain name up on here? Do I have enough reception to?
You know what's funny? Actually, right here, I think you do.
I don't.
We're up.
I think
high
I had
enough.
1X last
I had
time I
3
checked,
bars
but-
just a minute
Well,
ago.
I do now too. I'll be down.
What do we
Yeah.
get?
Well,
Yeah,
I'll tell you
I
what.
got 1X, but
Well, we should wrap this up. I've got commitments with the wife, and I hate to rush off this mountain with you two. I could sit here and bullshit with you for hours
Oh yeah.
and a day. So you're gonna have to come back. See,
That's
I did
right.
this on
Oh,
purpose
darn.
so that you have
Twist
to
my arm, why
come
don't you?
back.
No, I loved it. Even rolling into town in Durango is just a cool spot. It's mellow. I dig the vibe out here, man.
There's enough
Every place.
yuppies to keep your vibe going.
Stop it. Just stop it. Oh my gosh.
Well, Matt, closing words.
I don't have much right now. Just
You're just soaking up this hill, aren't you?
man,
This view.
I'm sitting here jonesing for a mule deer to walk out. No, it is just incredible up here. I love it. Man, just being up in the high country, it's I can find myself speechless just looking and listening. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
Sam,
Oh, just thanks for bringing me up here, guys. I mean,
you're welcome.
and thanks for, once again, like I said, I do this whole thing to reach out to meet new people, and both of y'all have been super generous with your time and to your houses and introducing me to people and just hanging out and having a good time. So it's much appreciated, and it shows what the hunting community should be about. And
Heck
Yeah, man.
I appreciate it.
Right on. And for me, thanks for putting us in your road trip, man. It's nice to have you around, get to know you a little bit, and like you said, build a relationship and have some fun and get to show you a little bit of some of the different side of Colorado up here than what you had on the Front Range. And I just look forward to a long relationship and friendship and those kinds of things, man. So,
Heck yeah.
whether professional and non or whatever, it's all good. And to the listeners, thanks for tuning in and joining us up here on the top of the mountain. This is an awesome day. And if you ever get the chance and you're in southwest Colorado, hit me and Matt up.
That's right.
We'll take you up here and we'll do a podcast with you up here on the top of this mountain. Or maybe even somewhere new. So, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it.
Adios.
Take us out with a number.
With a number?
Yeah, sing us a tune.
Someday, when I'm awfully low and the world is cold, I will feel a glow just thinking of you and the way you look tonight.
All right, y'all, that'll do it for episode 81 of Living Country in the City. Make sure y'all head on over to our show notes page. That's livingcountryinthecity.com/81. Check out everything we talked about in today's episode. Make sure y'all check out both Brandon and Muley Matt on socials. Give the Wilderness Attitude podcast a subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. But in the meantime, keep it country, y'all.
Thank y'all for listening to Living Country in the City. Get show notes and check out the blog, product reviews, events, and more at livingcountryinthecity.com.